Yo, what's up guys, Ghost here with a short scout helicopter tutorial for you today. I'm going to show you guys how to do what I like to call the RPG reload trick, and then we'll go over some of the limitations of the trick and of course why you would even want to use it in the first place. It is a little bit of an advanced maneuver, but it's probably a good idea to get accustomed to using it if you regularly fly in the scout helicopters. So before we start, I just wanted to thank everybody for the massive support on the channel recently. It's been very humbling to see you all coming over here and, checking out my little corner of the internet. So thank you all for that. If you guys are interested in vehicle tips and tricks for Battlefield 4 and soon Battlefield 2042, then make sure you subscribe as well so you don't miss out on that. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have been watching the footage in the background and you've probably figured it out by now. If you switch to either the second or third passenger seat, you can fire an RPG or a SMAW, but then if you switch back to resume flying, your launcher will automatically reload itself and be prepared for a follow-up shot. You don't need to start the reload animation or anything like that, you just fire it, switch back to the pilot seat, and wait a couple of seconds and it should have reloaded. So the obvious use for this is to solo enemy tanks and IFVs. Most people in the scout heli run the guided missile as their secondary, which will hit armor for a constant 30 damage. Now the only problem is you only get 2 charges for a maximum of 60 damage, but if you weave some of these SMAW or RPG shots in between your guided missiles, you can effectively solo an enemy tank in the scout helicopter. So what I usually do is start by firing a guided missile first, then a SMAW, then guided missile again, and then finally another SMAW. If that's not enough because they used APS or smoke on one of your shots, then you can always use a third SMAW or an RPG. Now there are some things to bear in mind here. First of all, don't try switching to the 4th seat in the heli because that one is only a passenger seat. You can't even repair or shoot with your primary out of that one. It's basically useless except for getting a ride across the battlefield. So if you want to aim out of the right side of the heli, take the 2nd seat, and if you want to aim out of the left side, then it's the 3rd seat. So you have to keep that in mind based on where the tank is in comparison to the helicopter, therefore which side you need to look out of to line up your shot. Also keep in mind that squad mates may already be occupying one or all of these seats, so this tactic is best used when you happen to be alone in the heli. Another pointer is that this will only work with the SMAW and the RPG guys. As you may or may not know, you cannot fire any of the guided launchers from within the scout helicopters, and that includes the MBT law. Now whilst the only launchers you can use are the RPG and the SMAW, you can still use this trick with your primary and secondary weapons as well. If you dump your entire magazine and then you do the seat switch, you will find 30 newly reloaded rounds in your weapon, just like with the launchers. Just remember though, it won't reload unless you dump the entire magazine, so you can't fire off 10 rounds, start the reload animation, go back to the pilot seat and expect it to reload. No, that won't work. It has to be entirely emptied. And this leads me onto the seat switching mechanic for fast takeoff. So for those who don't know, when you're taking off in the heli, you can skip the startup delay by quickly switching to another seat and then back to the pilot seat. Now this generally isn't necessary when you SMAW or RPG because it's based on a timer, and if you're fairly quick lining up that SMAW and firing it, you should simply be able to switch back to the pilot seat and have full control again without the delay. But if for instance you took quite a while to aim your shot, or you were dumping an entire 30 round magazine, then you will have to do the seat switch. So just bear in mind, under those circumstances, that you'll have to switch back to the pilot seat and then quickly go passenger and then pilot seat again to cancel the heli startup delay. Otherwise, there'll be a couple of seconds where you're just drifting mid-air, unable to control the heli, and you'll most likely end up either crashing or being the victim of an enemy RPG. Now for all you console players out there, it's going to be a bit more of a tricky maneuver. I believe on console you have to cycle through the seats instead of picking the one you want. So this will obviously take a lot more time when you want to get back into the pilot seat, and it'll leave you drifting for longer and open to enemy attack. But you know, I think this is still something that console players can pull off, and in those cases, it might actually be beneficial if you have some squaddies in the helicopter with you, just so you have fewer seats to rotate through. So there you have it guys. I know a lot of people out there already know about this, and if that's you, then what are you even doing here? But recently I posted some footage showing this trick in some gameplay, and you know, a lot of people were asking questions about it, so yeah, I figured I'd just throw up a quick video on it. That's how you do the RPG or SMAW reload trick. Thank you for watching the video. I hope this was informative or useful, and I shall see you guys in another video very soon. Cheers.